Good day, everyone. My name is Leon Gomand, and welcome to the Town Manager's Report called Under the Cupola. We're happy to be back after a couple of year hiatus. Ever since COVID, we kind of put our Under the Cupola presentation on the back burner while we were dealing with other things and unable to meet in person. But, you know, I thought it was really important that we get back to going to a regular schedule for our reports, and I'm really happy to be here with you folks today. Over the next several months, I'm intending to bring forward a number of different department heads and policymakers and interesting folks here in the town of Weston to talk about their experiences here in Weston and what makes their experiences special and what they do for the people of Weston each and every single day. Today, I brought the two friends here today from the library. With me today is Jenn Warner. She's the library director, and Alli Palmgren, who is the assistant library director. Let me introduce both of them, and we will have some fun today. Jenn Warner has been the library director here in Weston since August of 2018. She completed her undergraduate degree at Lesley University with a dual major in elementary education as well as social sciences. She subsequently worked for 8 years at the Center for Reading Recovery, which is a literacy intervention program for first grade students that are at risk at not learning how to read. And then later on, during her graduate studies, she worked as the circulation supervisor at Beatley College and at Beatley Library at Simmons College before she was hired here as the assistant director in Weston in 2010. Also with us today is Alli Palmgren. Allison is the assistant director since 2018. And before that, she worked as the technology librarian at the Morrill Memorial Library in Norwood. She went to Simmons University for both undergraduate and graduate school. She took classes in economics, political science, and public policy as a triple major. So very smart people over at the library. And so I'm very happy to invite you both to this presentation today and to talk all things library here in the town of Weston. So Jenn, let me start with you. Tell me a little bit about yourself that I didn't mention in your brief introduction.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that, Leon. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and to talk with us about the library. It is literally our favorite thing to do. So we're happy to be here this afternoon and happy to talk all things library. In terms of my background and how I became interested in library science, it started when I was very young. I'm very fortunate that I come from a family of readers. Both my mom and dad and also my brother love to read. And so they instilled in us, instilled a love of reading in us from a very young age. My grandmother lived next door to us when I was growing up. This is my mother's mother. And she also loved to read. And we would walk to the library every Monday night together. Well, not every Monday night, but many Monday nights, we'd walk over to the library together to get books. My brother is a year younger than I am. We were always very competitive growing up. We would have contests to see who could read the biggest book, who could read the most books, who could. One of my favorite childhood memories is Saturday afternoons, sitting on my bed in my room. My brother would be in his room next door to me, sitting on his bed, and my mom would be in my parents' room on her bed, three of us reading, and my dad watching the Red Sox downstairs. A very, very happy childhood memory for me. And of course, and my brother and I would go to the library and write reports for fun. So that was that. And rather than playing baseball, we'd rather write a research report. So we were very nerdy kids, but very happy. And it grew up. I thought education was going to be a track that I would take because I love school, I love learning. And so I did attend Lesley University when I graduated with an education degree. Because I only had a bachelor's degree, when I applied for jobs, I had trouble finding, getting an interview because of the competition, with master's candidates or, people with master's degrees. So one of the things I did was I had heard about the Reading Recovery Project in my studies, elementary education studies. So I called the director and said, I've heard about your program. It sounds interesting. I'd like to work for you. And she said, well, that's really nice, but I don't have a job for you. And I said, well, I'm just looking for other jobs. I need something for the summer. Could you create an internship? And it would need to be paid. So she did. She actually did. So she did. I started working that summer for the Center for Reading Recovery after college. And then while I was there doing that, a position opened up and she hired me permanently at the Center for Reading Recovery. And I worked there 8 years. And I can't tell you enough about that program. It's just amazing. What they do is they train public school teachers to work with the kids who are struggling the most with learning how to read at a very young age. It's an intervention to get these kids back on track and reading so that they can become successful in school and later on in life. If you think about first graders going in where everyone else is reading, everyone else is writing their name, and these kids are profoundly confused, whether it's due to a learning disability or some other reason, and they can't participate and can't succeed. The program's research-based, and they teach teachers behind a one-way mirror. So the first time I saw that, I had goosebumps. I was just completely mesmerized by the program and worked there very happily under the director, Irene Fountas, for 8 years. While that was going on, my husband, who has been in the restaurant industry, bought his first restaurant actually towards the end of that 8-year period. And for anyone that has a small business in the family, you know how there's really kind of a tractor beam, or there's no escaping getting drawn into that. So what started off as running errands for him morphed into a part-time job. And I had no intention of leaving my job. That was supposed to be his restaurant, and I had my career, but here we were. So I did leave Reading Recovery to help my husband. It was supposed to be a year or two. It turned into 5. And we worked together. After 5 years, we decided that we wanted to stay married, but not work together anymore. So we got a work divorce, but we're happily married. So we navigated that. And I went back to, I thought to myself, what do I want to do? And I wasn't feeling education was the right direction for me. I have the utmost respect for teachers that I can't imagine. They work so hard, and with the pandemic, I can't imagine how difficult their jobs have become and have been over the last 3 years. I felt like that wasn't really the direction I wanted to go in, and library science was absolutely near and dear to my heart. So I did apply for a position at Beatley Library at Simmons, and was hired there as the circulation supervisor, and worked there for 4 years while I was earning my graduate degree, and absolutely loved it. It was a great experience. And my mother is an artist. The print on the wall behind me is a wood print that she did, and it was my graduation gift from when I earned my master's degree. And I remember her asking me, "Do you like it?" I said, "No, I love it. I just wish I had an office to hang it in." And I'm not exaggerating. 3 days later, the job feed for the assistant director job came in on my job feed, and I applied for it. I remember thinking I could do that job, and I would really, really love it. It would challenge me, but I would really, really enjoy doing it. And fortunately, I was selected in 2010 to work in Weston as assistant director. And I have the best job in the world since being promoted to director. I've loved being the assistant director. I'm sure Alli's going to talk about her job and how much she enjoys it. But it's just, it's like having the keys to the Wonka factory and coming in every day and getting to share our love of books and libraries with patrons.
Wow, that's great. Thank you very much, Jen. That's excellent. And Alli, you're no stranger to having library science in your background. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh yeah, no, libraries run in my blood, for better or for worse, it seems. I'm not the only librarian in my family. So I've been the assistant director here for, oh gosh, how long has it been? 4 years, Jen?
Yeah, almost 4. Yeah, not long enough. Yeah.
On my 4th year, I think, ish. But my sister I have a twin sister, and she's back there somewhere in one of those pictures. She is also actually a librarian. She is a more recent librarian. She's the young adult librarian for the town of Hopkinton, is where we both live. And it's funny how she came to that because she is still in the Army Reserves, but she was active duty for many years. And she was looking for something to do once she got off of active duty. And she looked at me and said, "You're really happy. You love your job." I'm like, "Yeah, duh. I get to work with books like all day. What more could you want?" And she said, "I think I could be happy doing that too." And without a doubt, she made a wonderful decision because she's, also in this career that brings so much joy. But we were, always library kids, always library adults. I resisted for a little while when I thought I was going to go, into politics and in doing public service in that way. But, had some internships and discovered that I kept going back to libraries. I could not stay away. So, yeah, just one of those things. I met Jenn actually at Simmons as well. While I was working on my graduate degree, I was working in the Beatley Library as one of the heads of the tech department at their tech desk. So at their technology desk. So I come at things from a more technological side. Jenn comes at things from a big customer service side, and we meld our talents together in such a fun way. The best thing that I really love about this library and being in libraries in general is I'm just surrounded by all these people that share the same interest as me, which you get, I'm sure, in other workplaces, but not quite with the same passion. And even the people that come in, all of our patrons, I'm one of these folks that can't shut up about books. So I recognize them and they recognize me. I'm often riding my bike out on the trails around town and on the rail trail. And I'll see people that are library patrons and I'll just say, "Oh gosh, hi," when they say hi to me. And say, "Oh, did you finish so-and-so book, whatever that was?" And they'll be like, "What?" So they recognize who I am with a helmet on and whatever. And then it becomes, "Oh yeah, I finished, I really liked it." And, books are great. They really open us up to new ideas and also new relationships with people over shared interest.
Allison, thank you very much. And you and I have something in common in our background. We were both interns at the Massachusetts State House. So I did a stint there as well. Well, thank you very much. I can tell from both of you that you really, really enjoy your jobs working in Weston and the type of work that you do. You can tell the passion is there, and I really wish you both the very best in your careers here. Jenn, going back to you, tell me a little bit about the Weston Library. What are the things that you folks offer there as far as programs? When are you open? A little bit about your staff. Tell me a little bit about your operations there.
Sure. Well, first I need to say that it is the best library in the world, so let's start with that. In terms of when we're open and what we do, we are open, we have great hours, open hours, now that the pandemic is hopefully receding. We've gone back to our pre-pandemic hours, which are Monday to Thursdays, 9 to 9. We're open on Fridays, we're open on weekends. In fact, we're open 7 days a week. The only days we close are major holidays, federal holidays, state holidays, or snow, so that we can go sledding, of course. So but yes, so we're open almost every day of the year at some hours. The pandemic has changed library service a bit in that we used to do a lot more in-person programming, and obviously we've had to adjust to that circumstance. We are offering Zoom programming, a number of Zoom programs in different subject areas such as art or any other areas of interest to our patrons. Of course, we have a wide range of materials. Every good library reflects the interests and the desires of the population that it serves. And so that is always our goal, is to serve the residents of Weston and give them the materials and the resources and the things that they want for entertainment and to learn, lifelong learning.
Great, great. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to throw you a curveball. What's the most interesting thing in your collection?
Oh boy. I know my answer. Alli, do you want to answer, or do I take it?
So I think, I don't know if this is as interesting as it, I think it's remarkable, because 15 years ago, we would have been like, what the heck? We have a new thing in our collection, a newer thing. We have our library of things, but within that, you can literally check out the entire internet. So we have Wi-Fi hotspots that you can take with you anywhere that you get a reasonable amount of cellular service. So you can be in the middle of the field, you can be on the edge of a ski mountain, you can be at the beach. Doesn't matter, as long as it's in the continental United States, and you can connect and, you know, do things that are really important, like watching cat videos on YouTube, or, you know, maybe applying for services or other kind of more vital informational needs. But we don't ask. You can do whatever the heck you want with all those little puppies rolling around. But I just think it's amazing that you can check out the whole internet from the library.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
she took my answer. I was
sorry.
But I will add to that. I will piggyback on what Alli said. So definitely Library of Things. There are a number of kooky gadgets and all different kinds of things, games that can be borrowed. You know, we get a lot of, librarians are largely, not largely, but librarians cope with a lot of stereotypes, as I say. I am wearing a cardigan and glasses, but you know, we are more than just books. And so whenever I tell someone, you know, they ask me what I do, and I say I'm a library director, or I'm a librarian, they say, oh, it must be so nice to be able to sit and read books all day. And you know, I say, yeah, that would be nice. That's not my job, but that would be wonderful. That would be a wonderful job.
One more thing in our library of things, it just popped into my head. Our weirdest thing, I think, is our ghost hunting kit.
Oh, yes.
I remember that one. Yeah. So all the people around Weston in these creaky old houses, like, really, you can find out if you have a spirit in your attic. And I just think that's the funniest thing.
You know, it is amazing how libraries have changed greatly just in my lifetime, how it's very different. The experience going to a library when I was a child versus today is very, very different. Jenn, you work with an elected board. You work with the library trustees, who are elected from the residents of Weston, to kind of set policies and procedures. What are the things that they're working on for the upcoming year or two? Do you have like a sort of like a master plan or a strategic plan that you folks are working towards?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Great question. So we do, every 3 years, we do a new iteration of a long range plan. And precisely, I serve at the pleasure of the Board of Library Trustees. They are, as you said, an elected board. We meet monthly to go over everything that's going on in the library, and Alli and I can keep them up to date about services and programs and things that are going well, and any issues that are arising. And so we do every 3 years a long range plan that involves doing a community survey. So we'll solicit feedback from the public about what services they use and enjoy. And then if there's any gaps in our service, what aren't we doing that we should be doing? And we take that feedback and we compile the data that we get back from the surveys. And we also then will look at the field of library science, we'll look at other libraries and what they're doing. And then we take all of that information and mush it into one report that our trustees will then review. And that's the point where we are now, where they're looking at our current iteration of our long range plan so that we can set goals and move forward with a plan for the future. Library service, as you said, Nathan, Leon has evolved and is always evolving. You know, we sometimes hear that warning, oh, libraries, you know, there's sometimes talk about libraries being irrelevant. Well, I have a phone and I have Google and everything I need is on Google. Well, yes, you do have a lot of information that's available through your phone and through Google, but libraries are more important than ever. And we do have platforms and services that are vital to communities. So it's our goal to, as I said, shape the goals and services for Weston residents for what they want.
You know, you mentioned something a few moments ago that Weston was the greatest library that you've ever experienced. And I want to say, we do have something very special about our library here in Weston, and that is the Art and Innovation Center under the umbrella, under the big umbrella of the Weston Library. Tell me a little bit about the Art and Innovation Center. Oh, and by the way, somebody from our friends at Weston Media sent me a nice reminder that today is the anniversary of the groundbreaking of the Art Innovation Center. So tell me a little bit about your role with the Art and Innovation Center. What do they do? How does it operate? And some of the cool things that are going on there.
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to. So the Art and Innovation Center is the programming branch for the Weston Public Library. It is a makerspace with art classes as well as technology classes. As part of the long range plan in 2015, 2017, there was a goal because of the trend in libraries to establish a makerspace. However, space was an issue here at the main library. We really didn't have a place to install this. And so the director at the time, Susan Brennan, came up with the idea to renovate the old library in town and turn that into a branch, a programming branch. And there was a ton of support from the community and a number of people who worked very, very diligently on this to make it a reality. And it did open in the fall of 2019. However, we did have a little bump in the road with the pandemic closing, but we are back open again and or back to our pre-pandemic, hours of offering classes and offering all kinds of performances that will be coming up. It's a place where you could go, anyone, Weston resident, and you don't have to be a Weston resident, but you can't, Weston residents can go to take an art class, take a drawing class, take a fiber arts class and learn to needle felt, or go to learn how to work a 3D printer and print items. We will be installing a laser cutter, and that will be another piece of really innovative technology that patrons will be able to use. In addition to all of that, it's also a performance center. So they have just started doing jazz jams on Sunday afternoons, and there will be other performances. In the fall of 2019, Newton Nomadic Theater did a couple of sold out shows, and we hope to get them back once everything is safe to do so. On top of all of that, it's a rental venue. So if people want to have their own party, we've done a number of weddings, which I never would have anticipated would have happened. I just didn't see that as kind of in the lexicon of what I thought the center would offer. But we've done several weddings for folks, and that's just been wonderful. So it's a rental venue. It's whatever. It was intended to be a community space. A place where people could go and learn and join together. One of the most popular programs is the Fix It First program. And when that program runs, we have to use both makerspaces because we have such a high turnout of folks coming for that. They do things like knife sharpening. I think they've done lamp repair and things along those lines. Alli, is there anything I'm sure I've left out? Is there anything you can think to add?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I can kind of think of is that it's not just the class you're in, it's the skills that you get when you're there that you can utilize at some of the open maker times. We have, time set aside during the week and have even some flexibility there where people can come in after they've taken a class in particular and kind of whet their appetite for using like our vinyl cutter or using the 3D printer, doing fun things, and then, or the sewing machines. Those have been super popular.
Yes.
they do that and they learn how to use these items, then they can come back during the maker studio. What are we calling it these days? It's been through a few iterations.
It is.
Maker lab. That's it.
Yes. Open maker hours.
Yeah. So they can come back and just use our equipment, which is fantastic, because this is stuff that's expensive. Like, it's hard to think of investing in, you know, a laser cutter eventually for your own home. Oh goodness, you're gonna need ventilation, you're gonna need this, that, and the other thing. And this is, you know, what we have available without, you know, needing to come in and you know, spend all this money and invest all of this time to set it up in your own home.
So you folks really, you know, brought forward the concept that I really wanted to stress in this, which is, you know, libraries are different than what they used to be. You know, we're in a different technology world, and it seems like libraries, at least successful libraries, are, you know, kind of molding to the times and transitioning to be to kind of fill the void for the next generation. It sounds like that's something that you folks spend a lot of time looking at and thinking about.
Absolutely. As I said, the best libraries reflect and refract the energy and the desires and the wishes of the communities that they serve. So we're constantly trying new things. It's one of the aspects of my job that I enjoy the most, is that it's a very collaborative work environment. And so we're constantly looking at ways to change our displays, change our where things are in the library. How can we do things better? What would patrons like, you know, more space for quiet study? Would they, you know, do they want more interactive programs or social programs? We, in the most recent long-range plan, one of our residents suggested a social program. She said, this person suggested that, you know, with the pandemic, people are feeling very disconnected. And the library has always, you know, historically for lots of people, myself included, been a place of refuge and a place for connection and a place to learn and be with other people. And so she suggested a social program once a week where people could come and just chat, just get, you know, and so we started a Meet Your Neighbor program that has been running for several months and is going very, very well. And we hope it will continue.
Well, that's really exciting. I really appreciate the time that you folks have spent with me in the theme of like, you know, things that we can do now in the libraries that we weren't able to do when I was a child. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the services that you folks offer online. I am, as you can see, a proud member of the library, and I only recently learned about some of the ways that I can use my library card to access like virtual items, online items, digital items. And I was wondering if you can talk to me and to the people watching this presentation on how that happens. And maybe if you can share your screen and give me a little bit of a Reader's Digest version as to how I can, from the comfort of my own home, be able to access some of your catalog of items.
That one's all me. Because I have to take this, Jenn. I'm sorry, this is my favorite thing to promote. So we are very fortunate to have a variety of e-library resources, and I'll share my screen and show these to you. This is not, I can't show you all of them in depth because it would take me all day. So I will show you some of the cream of the crop right about now. I'll share this. So we're gonna go to our main library website to begin with. So as you can see, oh, we still have the winter up here. I should change that. It might depress us a little bit. But so this is our library website, and we have a few different places where you can access our e-library. I just wanted to show you two different places. First, we have our research and databases. This would be some of our more traditional databases. So if you wanted to look at like a newspaper index, for example, see all, you know, the search for an article from the town crier from last year, something like that we do have on here. Now, also, it has things like language learning databases like Mango Languages. That one's really cool. Ancestry, which we often do programs on too. So keep your eyes peeled for that, on how to learn how to find your ancestors, and like consumer reports. So those are your traditional ones. The other ones we have here are ebooks and downloads. So these are going to be ebooks, audiobooks, digital magazines, streaming video, music. I most commonly get at them from the top up here. So that's my spot. So I'm going to switch to my other screen just because I have them already up and I'm already signed in, so you don't have to snoop on my library card number. You can get your own. So let me just share real fast. And that's the other thing is if you don't have a library card, you can come in and get one. But if you need to 1000% absolutely get a card right now, and you can't wait another minute, you can get a e-card, and that is pretty easy to get. If you go over to westonlibrary.org here, from our website, underneath catalog and account, you can get an online library card. And that will give you access immediately to some of our most popular online resources. And then you can convert this card into a real card. And by real card, I mean a physical card that never expires. So that's a pretty cool thing. So going back, just to get started, I'm going to start off with my favorite online service that I have here under our e-library, and that's Cupola. So Cupola is a digital service that has a vast array of content. So you'll see everything from, romance novels to this is a great one that I'm listening to now, A Darker Shade of Magic, which is a fantasy adult novel. So lots of fun stuff. Now, if you've never logged in before, you'll need to put in your library card number and an email address. It's very straightforward logging in there. And once you're in, all you have to do is search for the book you're looking for. Now, what I prefer to use this on is actually my on like a mobile device, either an iPad or an iPhone, because I like to take my audiobooks on the go. But let's browse a little bit. So as you can see, there's audiobooks, comics, which display beautifully on a tablet, by the way, ebooks, movies, music, television, and something called Binge Pass, which is awesome. It's content from a number of providers that let you use one borrow. So in Cupola, you're limited to 15 borrows per month. That could be 15 books, 15 Binge Pass options, 15 movies. Usually that's enough for most folks. I do go through mine often, but it allows you to see all of the content from a specific provider on here. These we have right now, there's Curiosity Stream, Cupola magazines, and the Great Courses. And that will let you go through entire series of things for a week with one single borrow. Now, I'm just gonna go over to audiobooks because that is where I'm really attracted to, because I have a long enough commute that I do need to listen to them. The full Harry Potter collection is on there with that wonderful narrator, Jim Dale, just to let you know. Those are some of my favorites. But if you wanted to borrow something, it's easy as pie. So you could either do a search up at the top, or if something under the popular audiobooks here tickles your fancy, we'll go through the Agatha Christie Death on the Nile, because there's a new movie coming out with that one. So you might want to read it before. If you click on it or tap on it on your phone, it looks pretty much the same. It'll give you a little information about the title. The best part that I love is if it's in a series, it'll tell you it's part 17 of the Hercule Poirot series. So if you wanted to read the rest of the series, you could just click on that and it will take you to the listing with all the rest of the series. So if you want to borrow, you just click borrow. It'll say it's available for 21 days. And then you click borrow title. And that's it. So now it goes to your My Cupola. If you click on your currently borrowed, that's at the top of your screen. You can see the 4 books that I currently have borrowed. I still have a bit to listen to before they expire in 4 days. Oh goodness. and then you can click on it to begin listening or reading. Now, the best part about these is that there are never any late fees. There are never any fines, never any not returning your stuff on time, because it automatically goes away when the due date's up. If you need to keep reading it, you can, as long as you have borrows left, it'll give you the option to borrow it again or to renew. So that is Hoopla. I definitely recommend using it, especially for the other offerings like the music here. And there's also kids mode, which is really nice, which you can turn on. It's in the upper right-hand corner, and it's also in the upper right-hand corner on your mobile devices. And if you turn that on, kids can browse safely through whatever kind of book or audio book that they're looking for without seeing adult content. So love kids mode, very fun. So I'm gonna move on now to Overdrive and Libby. So this is confusing, but Overdrive and Libby are the exact same catalog. Overdrive is just what they call the online version if you're on a computer, versus Libby, which is the app you can get in the App Store or the Google Play Store. Now, I didn't sign into this one because I wanted to show you how, because this one can be a little bit more confusing. So the difference between Overdrive, Libby, and then Hoopla is that Overdrive and Libby are something we purchased the catalog with the whole rest of our library consortium, so with Minuteman, but we also get additional copies for our Weston patrons. So the best part about that is, if we see something's popular, we can get additional copies. The bad thing about that is that sometimes you have to wait for things, just like you would for a regular library book. So you would put something on hold if you're interested in it. Whereas with Hoopla, everything is always available. There is some duplication of titles between these two platforms, but they do have a lot of different stuff too. So that's why we subscribe to both, is to offer the widest range of content for our patrons. So when you get to the page for Minuteman's version of Overdrive over here, and that's from that same e-library menu, you would select your library to log in. And it says select your library, but it's select your library network. So you would choose Minuteman Library Patrons, and then you're going to add in your card number. Just ignore my saved ones. I have too many cards. And then sign in. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to borrow some books for me on Overdrive? I hope you do, in fact. So here from this also gives you a list of books. Now you can do a search up in the top here. The nice thing about Overdrive and Libby is you can send books to your Kindle, your traditional e-ink Kindle, without downloading a separate app. That's something that folks like to do. If you're interested in that, please come to the reference desk or give us a call, because that one has a couple extra steps that would take a little too long to go through here today. But just to show you some things here, these are some selected titles. So if you wanted to read Me and White Supremacy here, you could as an ebook. It's listed as available. And then this is the audiobook version. And you'll know that because there's a bit of headphones down there. So we have some others in here. I'm going to try to find one that will be already checked out by somebody else. So let's search for what's a good one that's popular. Jen, what's a good popular one right now?
Harry Potter.
Yeah, let's see. All right, let's see. We'll look for Harry Potter. Always popular. All right. So right now there are a whole bunch of different ones that come up. I just did the general title, but you can see if there is a wait list for something. So Harry Potter, the Cinematic Guide, sounds like fun to me. You would click on it and it'll tell you how many copies are available. Right now, 04 available. You can say place a hold. So then you would put your email address in twice, and then you'll get an email when it's ready for you. Now let's go into borrowing a book that is available. So this Harry Potter Ultimate Quiz Guide sounds like fun to me. There's 1 of 4 copies available. So I can just click on borrow. And this is the same through the Libby app. And it'll let you choose how many days you want to borrow it for. There is no benefit to you to choose shorter days. Choose 21 days. Take advantage. Borrow that for as long as you can. So it'll then allow you to read it now in your browser. If it's on a mobile device, it will give you the option just to read it in the Libby app, which is pretty cool. So the neat thing about both of these services, well, there are many neat things, but one of the neat things about these services is when you click through, I've got a book here, and won't show you all the whole things, but you can see that there is the font here can be adjusted. So that is the coolest thing in the whole world to me, is every book is a large print book. If I click in the middle of it, it gives me the options. If I click on the little A, it'll let me choose the scale of the text. It'll let me put it in dark mode, give me some accessibility sizes so I can go, much larger. And that's great for folks that may have decreased vision or may need to read something just a little bit differently than what a book that's published in print might look like. So it's wonderful as an accessibility tool, but also wonderful as just a tool for tired eyes at the end of the day. So that's pretty much what we have going on with the ebooks and audiobooks. I did want to show you one thing on Minuteman's collection here that we have, and these are our magazines. So we used to offer a different service for magazines. We had RB Digital, and then before that it was under another name, but you might recognize it as RB Digital. Well, that's been all rolled in to our digital magazine platform through Overdrive and Libby. I will tell you right now, by far and away, the New Yorker is the most popular thing read in Weston over the years, and it hasn't changed for a few years now. It gets more than double the number of reads than any other title. So the nice thing is about this is you can click on it, or you can tap on it on your mobile device. You can select another issue if you want, and then just borrow the item. Now you can choose 14, 21, 7 days. Magazines are a little shorter, but choose 21 if you want it for a while, and you can borrow that, and it will let you read the New Yorker as if you had it in your hands. Now, one thing that I want to show you that's interesting in this, see on the right-hand side, we've got ads. So it's just like the regular paper copy. So you're not getting anything different, except that if you are in the in this nice little area where you have all of the different articles that are going on, well, you can click on them and it'll take you to that article. So that makes it a lot easier than flipping through pages. So
Alli, can I ask you a question about that?
Of course, yes.
So let's just say, because this is a good example, you probably wouldn't want to do this with a book, but let's just say, for example, you saw that first, the Final Frontier on page 16, and you click to that. Could you actually print that article out?
Yes, yeah, you could. And you can, so people do it in a number of different ways. I'll flip off of that one, but on those you can either take a screenshot, and they do have some print options, and also so you can share and send it. The one thing that you want to be cognizant of is copyright, and knowing that, if you're just copying it and saving it for your own personal purposes, that's cool, but you can't, folks shouldn't be distributing it except in their own household and things like that. So we're very aware of copyright limitations, but yes, it definitely can be saved for your own enjoyment for later.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. So
fascinating.
Yeah, we got one more thing that I really wanted to point out, and that's Canopy, because this one's really different than the others. So Canopy is another one of those things where you do a limited number of borrows per month. So Overdrive and Libby unlimited. You have the 15 through Hoopla and 12 through Canopy. Canopy is video and movies. And it's not just, feature films and the next flick that's going to be on, on whatever TBS at 11 o'clock at night. It's a really carefully curated collection of films. And the way I like to describe it is it's like Netflix for the intellectually curious. It's a lot of content, things from the Criterion collection. Again, we have great courses here, which is really cool. Classic cinema, international cinema, documentaries. it's so exciting to find some things on here. I'm a big documentary nerd, so I use it for some of the things that you just can't find anywhere else. Again, here we go, little Miss Agatha Christie here. She's just a hot topic these days. So I could watch this here and use that as one of my borrows. Now, Canopy, well, you can watch it on this platform. So I'll find here. Let's go over to our friend Agatha. We'll keep some continuity of subject here. So all you would do is click play video, and then it would begin playing for you. And you can make that full screen. It can look awesome. But a lot of time, especially when you're seeing some of the cinematic masterpieces on here, you don't want to watch this on your tiny computer, or you don't necessarily want to watch it, on your smartphone. Look how tiny that is. You can use some of your smart TV apps to watch this. The Canopy app is available on a lot of smart TVs and all Roku devices. And I just love that you can sign in with your library account and you can browse like you would any other streaming channel. So it's pretty cool. Hoopla also has an app and has some ability on smart devices as well. Pretty much all of them. In fact, I listen to audiobooks through my TV sometimes while I fold laundry. So kind of boring, but it makes the task go by a lot faster. So yeah, those are the ones I'm most excited about. Not to say we don't have others, we certainly do, but those are some of our most popular platforms. And just a little fun fact about our streaming platform. We were looking at some of the numbers, looking across the past few years. And when we had put some of these in place, all of them in place, I think, before the pandemic, we had all of these, and we had a strong interest in streaming services. Then the pandemic happened, and we did everything we could to increase the amount of streaming services that were available remotely, and the usage of them shot through the roof. It was just incredible to see how much people were enjoying our digital services. So when the library reopened for in-person browsing, we kind of expected to see a pretty sharp drop off. We figured some people would stick around with their digital services, but it's so interesting. What we've seen is it pretty much has stayed pretty level, a little drop off, and at the same time seeing our in-person circulation shoot right back up. So people in Weston read, and they love their books, and they love their audiobooks, and they love them in multiple formats. So it is very cool to see the folks of Weston reading more than ever. It makes my little librarian heart sing.
And Alli, the most important point about our circulation numbers that we just looked at recently, what is our largest, Leon, would you like to guess what our largest checkout format is, or who checks out the most books?
Gee, I'm going to say, I will say preteen.
Good guess. No, Alli, do you want to tell him?
Sure. So it is actually our youngest readers. So our juvenile collection, a lot of it, basically picture books, and some of our juvenile like beginning chapter books and things like that. It's over 50% of our physical in-person checkouts are for juvenile items. The funny thing is, with digital, it sways the other way, and it's more adults than it is kids. But yeah, it's great to see our little readers are just voracious.
Well, that's amazing. And really, it is so incredible, the kinds of resources that the folks in Weston have, either in person at the library, hands-on materials at the Art and Innovation Center, electronic or digital or remote information like you just showed us from Canopy. And it truly is amazing, the resources that the folks here have available to them. And I just want to thank you all for the work that you and your staff do for the people of Weston. You really do make Weston, a great place, a place that we want to, live, work, play, raise a family, all of that. It really speaks to the character and the quality of life here in Weston. Before I let you go, I want you to tell me give me a recommendation for a book, both of you. I want you to give me a recommendation that you think that I, the town manager of Weston, would be interested in.
Oh, our favorite book question. We get asked this one a lot too. What's your favorite book? So I'll tell you a quick funny story. Way back in the day, before I would date my husband, I made him read my favorite book at the time, and he did, and I quizzed him. And so that was back in the 80s, and it was The Stand by Stephen King, which is so well known now. But if you haven't read The Stand, I would say please read The Stand. We've now been married, we're going on our 4th decade, so we've been married more than 30 years. So as goofy as that is, it was a good vetting process for us. In terms of books in my life have been important to me. Different books have been important to me at different parts of my life. As a young reader, I love the C.S. Lewis Chronicles of Narnia. Those were my favorite, hands down books. I remember being a freshman English. I loved English class, and freshman English. My English teacher telling us about Rebecca. Excuse me for leaning in. So of course, Rebecca, I prefer the audio version. So after I read Rebecca, I read all of the Daphne du Maurier books that I could get my hands on. Later in college, Margaret Atwood. Oh my goodness, feminist writer Margaret Atwood. The Handmaid's Tale. It's now very popular, but if you haven't read that, please read that. What I love about the library, there are always new books coming out. I think about books that I just finished recently. Toni Morrison. This was actually a short story that was published in 1980. Let me try the title. It's Recitatif. Recitatif is the title. And it's the story of 2 characters. One is Black, one is white, but throughout the book, we're not told the race of either character, and it's told from the point of view of one character, and it's just fascinating. She's a brilliant writer. Of course, read all of Toni Morrison's books. I just am almost finished with Angel and Hannah by Ishley Yi Park. And this is a novel told in verse. It's a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. And it's wonderful. The 2 main characters, Romeo is a Puerto Rican teenager in Brooklyn, and Juliet is Hannah. She's a Korean teenager in Queens, and they fall in love at a quinceañera. And the writing, it reads like a love song. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I could talk for all day. I could literally keep going. I'll stop. Alli, recommend some books that I've missed. I've missed a couple.
Well, I learned something about Jen just now, that she and I shared favorite books as a child, because my favorite series was The Chronicles of Narnia, and The Horse and His Boy was the book that I credit as leading me on the path to becoming a librarian. After a 2nd grade teacher put it in my hands and said, "Here, you're a precocious reader. This is at your level now."
Know that my favorite was the one where they jump into the puddles and they end up in the different worlds.
Oh yes. Oh God.
I think it's number 6. Anyways, sorry to interrupt. Keep
They're
going.
so good. So read those, especially if you haven't read them in a really long time. The most recent book that I read that like stopped me in my tracks, and I had to like sit with it for a while because it was just so powerful, was The Firekeeper's Daughter. And of course, I won't remember the author. It's actually a young adult book. And I encourage adults to read young adult all the time. And they don't always listen to me, but I think that it gives folks perspective and helps people to remember a different part of their life sometimes. And it's wonderful. Another young adult book, and actually a kind of keeping on a similar theme, this one here that I love, Sherman Alexie, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. It's a National Book Award winner. It's amazing. It's an incredible book about a boy that kind of has, or a young man that has his foot in 2 worlds, basically as a Native person and then also as a white person, which I thought was really interesting. If you want something a little bit lighter, Jen and I read very different books. You might learn. I am all about the, I love fantasy. I love kind of just suspending your disbelief for a moment. Ocean at the End of the Lane, Neil Gaiman, amazing. Love Neil Gaiman so much. So Jen will read anything. I'm just like, give me not so great written romance novels and fantasy and sci-fi. So that's another one. And then I am a big fan of Louise Penny. I will read every and all Louise Penny. The Long Way Home might be one of my favorites. It's part of the Chief Inspector Gamache series. So the newest one that just came out is The Madness of Crowds, but it starts with Still Life. Start at the beginning. So start with Still Life, get to this one, pause, love it, and then keep going.
I'm embarrassed to admit I still have yet to read a Louise Penny, so I am going to take Alli's advice. I'm not ignoring your advice. There are so many good books. I love memoir is probably my favorite. Neil Gaiman, I did love American Gods, but memoir is my favorite genre to read. I love to read about other people's experiences and live vicariously through them. A book I read years ago, we don't own a copy any longer, but it's available through the network, is Swimming to Antarctica. And it's about a woman who swims in cold waters. She's a long distance swimmer. And as part of her training plan, she eats Ben and Jerry's. So I thought that was just wonderful. I wanted to get, some ice cream and say, no, honey, I'm not eating a snack. I'm working out. But anyways, the other book I'd recommend is A House in the Sky by Amanda Lindhout and co-authored with Sarah Corbett. It's the story of a Canadian woman who, as a young girl, read National Geographic magazines and dreamed about traveling the world. Her goal was to visit every country in the world. And she started to fulfill her dream. She went to maybe about 30 countries. And when she got to Somalia, she was kidnapped and extorted, held her ransom. And it's the story of how she survived that ordeal. And it just knocked me over. I just thought it was the most incredible. I'll stop wiggling the book around. A House in the Sky is just an incredible. I could literally talk all day about books. So thank you, Leon.
No offense, but I think I'm more in line with Alli's taste in books than yours.
To each his own, We're not judging here. We're not judging. I do try and read across genres. I listen to horror novels when I'm driving because nothing's scarier than Boston traffic. But it's hard to, my jam is memoir. So Allie's right about that, but she's also right about her suggestions too, no doubt.
I can live vicariously through other people in memoir, or I could live vicariously through other characters in like space. Or, a kingdom full of knights. I think I'm going to take mine. Thank you very much.
Fair enough.
Well, my favorite is the David Eddings books. They're of particular favorites of mine, which is kind of more in line with what Alli has put on the table.
Well, thank you, Leon. I did want to ask you what your favorite book was, Turnabout's Fair Play and all. So thank you.
Well, that and, I'm a very busy person being your town manager. I read a lot of comic books because I can actually get through one of those.
Get them on Hoopla. They're great. They display beautifully.
Jen and Alli, I just want to say how much of a pleasure it was bringing you in for this presentation here today. I'm really pleased that you were agreeable and yeah, we had a lot of fun today, which was my first and foremost goal. And to the viewers that are watching at home, I just want to say, stay tuned. New editions of Under the Cupola are coming forward in the upcoming weeks and months ahead. Thank you, and until next time, we will see you under the cupola.